Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy 005 Dynasty. I'm back with another video, and you already know, man, we talking about gear, we're talking about evolution, we're talking about companies, their product, we're talking about Ghost Wav, we're talking about 005 Dynasty. Man, it's such a great time right now for me, man. Such a great time, and a lot of comments are coming through, and I appreciate you guys and girls for dropping these comments and staying respectful. And we have a nice system going on over here on the 005 Dynasty YouTube channel. We're not allowing the negativity to seep in. All the negativity stays in the background. I see the comments, I delete them, okay? I do not show them to you. Those type of comments will cloud your mind. They're trying to reel you back into the negativity and into the world and their world, what they are doing on this earth. That's not what we're doing here, guys and girls. We're trendsetters. We're about to revolutionize the game. We're changing the game. We're going to change the way people think about music production. We're going to change the way that they see intent and how they intend to move on this earth. We're going to change the way they get away from the hype. They get away of agendas and propaganda and, dependency and depending on another company and another company's product. When they purchase without intent, when they purchase gear without intent, the intent of why they're purchasing this piece of gear, because it does this, and this, and he absolutely need it, and they purchase it off of the hype, then what happens is they become dependent of this product, and they have to use it, and they have to invest their time, mind, body, and soul, energy into it, and they have to defend it because they made the purchase, and they made the purchase without the intent first. So they don't even know how to step and move in life, and then they get upset at somebody who does and tells them, without saying their name, but tells them they made a bad choice, a bad decision, without moving with intent, doing a research, studying the musical pieces of equipment that they're purchasing to create the wonderful music that they want to create. That's their fault. That's not my fault. So I delete all the negative comments. We got this, guys. We're going to stay focused, man. When you come to 005 Dynasty's YouTube channel, it's a positive place that we can build together, and we're going to build Ghost Wav. I already set the foundation. You guys, I already see you guys. Your mind is already turning. I don't have to be sitting over there in the room with you to know that your mind is already turning. You guys and girls, your minds are turning already. You already looking. A lot of people asking me questions like, yo, what does Ghost Wav? What is this? What is this? And if you look online, there's an album, 005 Ghost Wav. That's the first iteration of Ghost Wav. Before what I did to it now I have the full body sound of Ghost Wav, and I haven't released it yet. So I'm holding that. Had a hate comment. Somebody's trying to tell me what to do, and I ignored them. Ignore everybody, guys. I'm not going to release the new way of doing Ghost Wav just yet. I gotta finish the album, and when I finish the album, then it's going to come out, because it's going to come out with a lot of marketing and promotion behind it. And I got something in the work, okay? Trust me, guys. It's not all about clout, fame, popularity, multi-platinum records, all the girls all over you, all the guys all over you because they want to be like you. It's not about that. When you understand life and you understand the game and you understand people. See, I am now established. I am established on Google, and I am a verifiable entity, meaning that the articles that I put out, especially on medium.com, they are being cited by Google, which means they are collecting data from my articles, which means I am established and I am a verifiable source, which means I have credit and credibility. I've made it. I did it all by myself, guys. I did it. There's nobody else that was helping me build my website, build my wiki, write these articles and all this stuff, or the thought process to even do that. The thought process is say, you know what? I'm not going to watch Netflix tonight. You know what? I'm not going to watch my favorite video game content creator tonight. You know what? I might have to skip playing checkers with my kids tonight. You know what I'm saying? You know what? My girl, you got to go do... I can't. It's relentless. Every single day. It almost... Sometimes it's almost like 18, 20 hours a day. You only get 4 hours of sleep or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. You just... relentless with your pursuit of perfection. Your pursuit of trying to revolutionize and change the game. That's the type of grind you need to be on to actually change the game. It's not easy. It's not just you just post something online and automatically all the search engines and all the databases, they just, oh yeah, code, give it to me. No, it don't work like that. So I had people asking me about music. They asked me like, what DAW do you use? Digital audio workstation. Now, I'm gonna tell you this, guys. These current generation MPCs and a lot of these other pieces of hardware, they are DAWs in a box. It's there. You basically move around with them instead of having a DAW on your computer. What I come to realize is this: the difference between a DAW and a box that you can move around with, they put on the inserts and the outserts, they put analog to digital conversion. Meanwhile, with your computer, you could just operate straight on your computer without even having, you don't have to do the analog to digital conversion unless you really, really want to. And that's when you go from some sound source into your audio interface, which does the conversion going into your computer, right? So you can technically get the analog to digital conversion and vice versa, digital to analog, and then you got to go back into something again. So now it's going to be another analog to digital conversion. It's a lot of signal flow moving that sound around, right? Those cables, the TRS cables, the TS cables, they only move analog signals. They don't move digital. It's only analog. Okay, MIDI, 5-pin MIDI data. Now that moves digital. That moves data. That's the difference, right? If you know, you know. So when they ask me what DAW I'm using, I'm technically using the MPC as my brain sequencer, my main sequencer. So that is my digital audio workstation, okay? Now, I can use my computer, which I am comfortable with, FL Studio, because I started out when it was Fruity Loops, before they had the whole problem with Kellogg cereal brand. You understand? So I can use either or. Now, I do use my computer sometimes because I have virtual instruments by East West, like that I get strings of vocals sample library from them, and I bring it into the MPC. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's just workflow. You know what I'm saying? Creativity and stuff like that. But do I start out that way? No. That's the thing with Ghost Wav. Ghost Wav, you have to start out with you have to really, really make an intentful decision on how you start out your music production with each song, with each track. And now the way I do it is, since I don't have a piano in my house, or I don't have an orchestra that I could just bring into my house and say, hey, play this flute, whatever, I have a keyboard workstation that does have supernatural sounds. And with the coding, with that Roland did, with the supernatural sounds and their digital engine, they was able to make a sound engine that actually replicates, you know what I'm saying, replicates what real instruments are. You know what I'm saying? You literally hear the real tones. So when you press those keys come out the workstation, you're actually getting the real tones as if you had a real, you know what I'm saying, piano in your house. And you can hear the richness of it, you can hear the fullness of it. It just sounds crazy good, right? So now my workflow is use my keyboard workstation, and I go out the back of the keyboard workstation into an analog preamp. Now that analog preamp is taking that analog signal from the keyboard workstation and is enhancing. It is adding characteristic tone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so many things to say, but it's actually adding to the high end, the mids, or the lows with that EQ that's on the preamp, giving it that saturation, that warmth, that grit, using the transistors that are inside of the preamp. If you know, you know. So it's making that actual piano or keys, the synth keys, or even the strings and the harmonic stuff, is adding harmonics. It's literally enriching the sound. That's what it's doing. It's literally enriching and adding like great tonality, you know what I'm saying? So many things I want to say into that sound. So when it passes through that, now when you record it into your digital audio workstation and then the sound locks, it's going to lock with that full body sound. And then from there, you start working with your song. You know what I'm saying? You start, you know what I'm saying, doing whatever else you have to do with that. You understand that, guys? Do you guys understand that part so far? So my mindset is not on which digital audio workstation I'm working with, because you could use plenty of them. My mindset dealing with Ghost Wav music is worrying about and having intentful decisions on the first instance of the sound recording. Where am I getting my sounds from? How great is the quality? Is my sound starting with an analog sound? Is it starting with a digital sound that hasn't been saved yet? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you can use these workstations that have analog and digital mixed into a sound engine that haven't been saved yet. If you get what I'm saying, they have it going through a process, and then that whole it turns into binary code, ones and zeros, and it makes that waveform, and it's saved. It's locked. Now that is different from pressing a keyboard tone. That sound is not locked. When you do your progression, you pressing your triads or whatever, your ninths, your sevens, you're doing your inversions, you're doing your sus chords and things like that nature, and you record it as MIDI data, which is reading back what you press. That is just tones. When you record it out, going out the back of those keyboards, now it will turn into that lock sound. So before it turns into the lock sound, what I do is I run it through a preamp. So I run my piano through a preamp, do my EQ and stuff on the preamp. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, that's when you start daisy chaining. That's why it's so important to daisy chain at the beginning of the process and not after, when you're operating with a lock sound and you just basically stacking stuff on top of that lock sound instead of enriching the first original sound. That's different. That's going to sound different, and you're getting a different sound than what you really think you're supposed to be getting. You don't even know how thick and rich and full your sound should be. So now when you use the preamp on that piano coming out the keyboard workstation, and then you pass it maybe through a analog compressor, you're carrying the analog signal, daisy chaining with your wires, you know what I'm saying? Your TS or your TRS wires, tip ring sleeve, right? So now I do preamp, I do keyboard workstation. I shout out Roland. I use Roland. I like Roland. I go out of Roland into the preamp, out of the preamp into a compressor to maybe tighten up the sound. I got a musical compressor too. Tighten up the sound a little bit, but it gives a nice fat, warm thickness. You know what I'm saying? And then from there, my trick is I go into the analog heat and then go into the MPC, save it as audio, and it's locked. Then from there, I take the sound and I go back out the MPC, the outs on it, and then I go into my effects. I use my aux sends, and now I add reverb to my strings, or maybe delays, or whatever I'm at in the musical process. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's just reverb. So I add the reverb and I save it back into the MPC. Now that reverb is not enriching the original sound tone. It's not doing that. It's doing an effect on top of that already digital sound now. It's not analog anymore. It's digital once it hits the MPC. Going back out the MPC, it does turn back into analog, but it turns into analog at the full lock sound. So now you got the lock sound going through, which already has the preamp printed on it. It already has the compressor printed on it. It already has the analog heat printed on that sound. So now you're just stacking over the top of that. That's what I'm saying. You have to purchase gear with intent. So you don't become dependent on one piece of software and then you be like, oh man, it doesn't sound good, it sounds flat. Or you think it might sound good, some people think it sounds good, but now you gotta go buy all these other pieces of gear to add to the MPC XL. Do you understand what I'm saying now? But whereas before, if you knew your intent, then you would have been said, before I buy this MPC XL, I need to do research to see if it has that analog like type of workings of a keyboard workstation. If it doesn't have the analog type of workings of a keyboard workstation, like a real sound engine, if it doesn't have a real sound engine like Roland, then why would the MPC XL be your first thing that you get and be the first sound source that you use? You gotta use a real sound source that has just the tones that's going to be analog, real sounds, and then when you go into those preamps, it's going to enhance it, and then you start going from there. So that's how you got to know your workflow. That's real workflow, guys. What you're doing on the MPCs is pressing buttons. You got the big flagship just to press a lot of buttons to do all this and stuff like that, but you don't really understand what you're doing. That's why your music sounds exactly like the last person's. The copy and clone generation, coined by 005 Dynasty, also known as legacy. And my name is Jamel Marshall Pearson. That's why I coined that. The copy and clone generation. The companies keep copying the same product over and over and the same marketing tactics and keep tricking you guys, and you keep buying. You keep buying this hardware that sounds the same, man. It literally, you guys, is somebody, oh, this one sounds better. This one, no, a little bit probably. Not really. If you really understand, it's not a preamp changing. It's not a real analog tone. It's not supernatural sounds that are recorded into these devices, and they do their magic with all this, you know what I'm saying, building sound engine. That's why you're paying for the Roland keyboard, for that sound engine that's in there. That's why you're paying for it, man. Other than that, if you take that sound engine out, what do you have? You're paying for the sound engine. What are you paying for these MPC units? Just the workflow? You could literally record that. You could literally record a keyboard workstation into a preamp, into an analog preamp, an analog compressor, even the analog heat, and then go into an audio interface and then turn it from analog to digital into your DAW, which would be your computer, maybe FL Studio. It's the same thing as working with the MPC. The only difference is FL Studio, you're using a mouse, or you might have that thing that they came out with, that controller they came out with, or the MPC, you just want to hit some pads and feel like you're a musical producer. That's the difference, right? But the first original sound source is what I'm talking about. Jamel Marshall Pearson, 005 Dynasty, formerly known as Legacy, Ghost Wav, the genre, the music, the culture, the way we're going to revolutionize the game, because we have intent, and we're going to teach people how to have intent and not get tricked by the hype and the manipulation from the companies, from vlogs, from websites, from retails, online stores, from content creators, from anybody who's a hater, who doesn't want to leave the system, the current system, anybody who doesn't want to be original, anybody who thinks the system that we're in right now, the copy and clone generation, is okay. The copy and clone era, the copy and clone generation. This your boy 005 Dynasty, man. So to answer you guys this question, the DAW that I work in, to be honest with you guys, is starting from the first instance of creating music. That's my DAW. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even have to use the MPC, because the workstation has sequencer and all that stuff in there to begin with. So you don't even need an MPC, guys. You don't even need an MPC. You don't even need one. Just use the rolling flagship keyboard workstation, and you could literally make your stuff in there. You could even put microphones onto these things. Come on, man. You could record whole songs, entire songs on the keyboard workstation. You don't even need the MPCs, to be honest. And I'm not hating on the company. I'm giving you guys context. This your boy 005 Dynasty. Don't forget, you only have one life to live. Why live it being fake? You only have one life to live. Why live it being fake? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm out. Don't forget to Google me.